We are continuing today with our series on the power of love. And as other ministers have mentioned during the last couple of weeks, this is not the easiest topic to give a discourse on, given the breadth of love and the difficulty in explaining it, which is probably why Reverend Tara assigned the topic. I was thinking about uh, how I would explain love to somebody who was not familiar with it. And really, that would be a task, a monumental task. It'd be like trying to explain to somebody who has never experienced sweetness what sweet is, trying to explain to them what honey or sugar tastes like if they're not familiar with that sensation. Um, but I'm going to do my best today to give some analogies about love, particularly with respect to the transformation power of love. And hopefully, this will be instructive. As many of you know, particularly in this country right now, there's a lot of discord. Um, Discord based on differences in the skin color, in political ideology, in religion, in really any number of different things. Discord causing separation, and we don't just have this in our country, it's really in the world. And as I was contemplating this discord this morning, I remembered Dr. Emoto's book, The Hidden Messages in Water. And the reason I was thinking about the book is really humanity has more similarities than differences. In the past, during some discourses, I've talked about how we all bleed red. It doesn't really matter what our different skin color is. But when I was thinking about Dr. Emoto's book, he talks about how we're all water-based, the majority of the human body. And he cited some interesting statistics in the preface, I believe it was, to his book. In the womb, when we're still fetuses, not fully developed humans in the womb, we are 99% water. And at the time of birth, we're still 90% water. It's only as we age and grow older and reach adulthood that we settle around, most adults, about 70% water. So most of humanity is water. And this is really a unifying, interconnected concept, I believe, if you think about this. And when you think about how much water we really are, and then you take the next step that Dr. Emoto makes, which is words and thoughts and emotions change the crystalline structure of water. That's one of the big messages in the book. So if you think about love and its transformative powers, and you think about Dr. Emoto in his book, when you say the word love, when you feel the word love, this creates a particular crystalline form in the water. It's a beautiful, perfect looking crystal. And I mention this because if you think about the fact that you're 70% water as adults, wouldn't you want this water in your body to have this pure crystalline structure, this beautiful crystalline structure? And the way to do that is to think about love, express love, be love. it will have this dramatic, scientifically proven transformative effect on your own body. Now, water is nourishing, right? Wherever there is water, you have vegetation, you have animals, birds, elementals, flowers, trees, grasses, all survive with water. And where you don't have water, you have a more desert-like uh, landscape. The same is true with love. Water nourishes your entire body. And if you are being love, expressing love, thinking love, speaking love, you have those perfect crystalline structures of water in your body, nourishing every atom, every cell, every element in your body. And when you think about it, the converse is true. And by that I mean if you are filled with feelings of anger, of jealousy, they have a particular effect on the crystalline structure of water, as Dr. Emoto talks about. In fact, with extreme negative emotions like hate and anger and discord, things like that, it literally breaks up the crystalline structure. And again, if you're 70% water, why would you want to have that type of effect on your own body as opposed to love? We see this in our physical environment. Again, I said where there's no water, you have this desert landscape. That is what a body is like without love. So Dr. Emoto talked about these transformative effects of water. He's not the only one who has studied the effect of love and what it does to the human body, how it transforms it. Scientists have actually, I did some research on this, studied the effects of love on your brain. And as many of you may know, love produces dopamine. And feelings of love produce dopamine in your brain. And dopamine is that chemical that it's a pleasure chemical. It makes you feel happy. It makes you feel joyous. It makes you feel connected. And so feelings of love literally produce this chemical in the brain, and you can see it on MRI scans and imaging. But that's not the only transformative effect that love has, this power of love. So in the front part of your brain, this is called the frontal cortex. That part of the brain, it has many functions, but one of those functions is judgment and criticism. So when people are judging themselves, or judging other people, or judging situations, and they're in an MRI scanner, this part of their brain is lighting up. It's active. So with love, that actually dampens the effect, which you again can see on MRI, of this frontal cortex. So people, have you heard that phrase, love is blind? That's actually literally true. It dampens the effect of this frontal cortex so that you are less judgmental, less critical. And I don't think that's where the phrase love is blind comes from, but it actually has a scientific basis. They've studied people who are, and this is romantic love, which is one aspect of love, but people who are romantically in love, they don't tend to see the faults of each other in the beginning. And that's because of this dampening effect on the frontal cortex. They don't judge each other, they don't criticize each other, and therefore you have this phrase, love is blind. So we have this effect on the brain. We have this dopamine effect. Love makes you feel joyous and happy. It takes away judgment and criticism. And as we know, if you're judging someone, or criticizing someone, you're separating yourself from them. If you're judging or criticizing yourself, you're separating yourself from who and what you really are. Love transforms that. Another effect that scientists have discovered that love has on the brain is this unifying sensation. So people in love tend to have more of a concept of we, our, and us. And people who are more egocentric driven are I, me, and my. A lot of spiritual masters, if you listen to their words, they frequently are using words like we, our, us when they're giving discourses, when they're talking to other people. More egocentric people are I, me, and my. And based again on these MRI studies of the brain, they have shown that people experiencing love have this more unified, interconnected we, our, us mentality actually working in their brain. So in other words, love really does connect, make you more unified. There's a Buddhist practice which I wanted to talk a little bit about this morning. And I know at first blush it may sound like it has nothing to do with love. And again, when I was working on the discourse this morning, doing my contemplation and prayer work, this practice just popped into my head, and I was wondering why this popped in. But after a little while, it occurred to me why. So not all Buddhist traditions do this, but a lot of them do. And this practice has to do with how they treat mealtime. So during mealtime, they don't have, or as best they can, they don't have distractions. So there's no television on. There's no radio on. And even though they might be in the company of other monks or other people, they don't speak. They're silent during the mealtime. And part of that is to remain in the presence. This is another aspect of love. With love, again, scientists have proven this through these MRI scans. With love, you are more focused and attentive on the object of your love. You are more in the presence. So if it's romantic love, you're more attentive and focused on your partner. In spiritual practices, we like to encourage a more universal love. So have this directed towards God. So you're more attentive and focused and in the presence with God. Not only when doing your practices, but also in every moment of every day. So getting back to this Buddhist practice of eating, this is what they're striving for, in part, to be present, entirely present in the moment while they're eating. And therefore the desire to keep away the distractions that I told you about. So it's not only that, but they also focus on the food itself, and by focusing on the food, allowing themselves to become more interconnected with everything. And let me do my best to try to explain what I mean by that a little bit better. So depending on the food source, a lot of things can come into play in terms of how the food is made. So if you, for instance, are eating corn, you have the seed of corn that the farmer plants in the ground, and the corn grows. The farmer harvests the corn. And then If this is a packaged type corn or a canned corn, this is going to go from the farmer to a truck, which drives it to the packaging plant. They wash and clean the corn. They package it up, put it in the can, and that goes from that packaging plant out to different stores. And then you have people who handle the packaged corn, putting it on the shelves, and then somebody comes in and purchases it, and then finally it comes to your plate in front of you. Perhaps somebody, before it got to your plate, cooked the corn. So we have all of these different moving parts to get this corn onto your plate. And as you're eating, you're focusing on, where this corn came from and being thankful for every participant in getting this corn to you. The corn itself, the farmer, the truck driver, the packaging plant people, the grocery store people. And by doing this, you become more interconnected in your thought. And then, of course, as you eat the food, another part of the practice is to allow this to nourish your body, heal your body, provide you with energy. So I was thinking about this practice, and honestly, I don't know if Buddhists think of this in the same way, but the way I was thinking of it was, we have this practice, but when you think about the practice, it's very similar to thinking about love and the impact of love in terms of being interconnected. So in true love, universal love, unconditional love, there is a recognition that we are all one and that we work together and do everything together. Love is also nourishing. It feeds not only literally feeds the physical body. This is another thing science has shown. Love literally changes the physical body, not only in the brain, but it lowers your blood pressure. It makes you feel safe. The body functions better because there are positive energies running and coursing throughout the body. And this practice of eating, I feel that we can think about this in terms of love, and how we think about love, and how we approach love, and how we can see that love, all of the benefits that love provides to us. There's many, in different scripture, transformative stories about love. You could really choose whether it's in the Hindu faith, Muslim faith, Buddhist faith, Christian faith. Every single one of these traditions and all the other ones I didn't mention talk about the transformative power of love. Hate begets hate, love begets love, love destroys hate. There's this saying, and I ran across it again this morning. It's an anonymous author, but I suspect maybe it was somebody who had just had their heart broken. And it's like a little poem, and it basically says, my heart is not a thoroughfare. And then love comes along, laughing and coming up to the heart and says, well, I am love, and love goes everywhere. So it's this recognition that love is in everything, a part of everything, moves everything, changes everything, transforms everything. In the Christian tradition, when humanity was crying out to God, saying that God had forsaken them, what did God do? God, out of love, sent his only begotten Son, because he knew that love would transform humanity. And when Jesus the Christ was interpreting the Ten Commandments, it was on the Sermon on the Mount, it was through love that he interpreted them to show people what those Ten Commandments really meant. We all know children who are not loved. They have emotional difficulties, interpersonal difficulties, developmental difficulties, intelligence difficulties, versus children who are showered with love. When mystics say that love is the key, they're really, really not kidding. It is the key. Anything in your life negative can be transformed with love. Anything that is possible can be made possible through love. You don't have to follow a particular religious tradition. You don't have to do particular practices, but those practices that you do, the traditions that you do follow, if they are done with love, you will make great strides in reaching enlightenment and returning to the source, because the source is love. Love created all of us. Love created everything. And once we recognize this, that we are love, that everything is love, that all of our brothers and sisters in humanity are love, then we can get off this cycle of rebirth and return to the source once again. Thank you very much, and we have time now for a deep level meditation.